What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Pace Studios here in Midtown Manhattan, New York City. We are joined by a very special guest right now. This is Dave Hause. Dude, thanks for coming and playing for us today, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Oh,
Big Apple.
The pleasure is ours.
Nice.
That's right. You know, kind of your stomping grounds. Not exactly. A little north of your...
I've stomped around here.
You stomped
though.
around.
That's for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
So Dave has a new record out, your third solo record.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Bury Me in Philly, appropriately enough.
Yeah.
And you're going to play 3 songs from that for us today. So let's start with some music. Tell me a little bit about the first song you're going to do for us.
This is a song called With You, and it was a song I was messing around with in a sound check. I think it was in Kansas somewhere. And I was touring with my brother, Tim, who helped me write this record. And he was like, "What is that?" And I said, I don't know. I think it's just a little punk rock song. You know, I don't know. It'll end up somewhere. And he was like, yeah, like maybe at the beginning of the new record.
Yeah, it's the first song, right?
It is, yeah. So his sort of vote of confidence in it helped it come to life. And then it ended up being the one. I guess we've been ending with it on this tour every night. And it elicits the sing-along, so I guess he was right.
That seems like it happens a lot, actually. Like the song that starts as this kind of like idea that doesn't seem like it might be anything sort of like winds up being the opening track on a record. You know, like
there's
somehow serendipitous.
There's 2 songs like that on this record that the other one, can you cuss on?
Yeah. Oh, please, we encourage it.
I'll try to keep it mostly clean, but there's another song on the record called Dirty Fucker that was a joke. I mean, it was I wrote it after a friend of mine just made a random joke at a 4th of July fireworks thing, and it's the other song on the record that seems to connect the most, at least live when we're playing loud.
Yeah, right.
And so it's 2 songs that I would have sort of counted out, you know, and been like, well, those aren't my serious. So, or, you know, whatever. I sort of had downgraded them in my mind, and at the end of the day, they ended up being 2 fan favorites. So
yeah,
you got to try everything, I suppose.
Right. Cool, man.
Let's give it a little try here. I couldn't stop the ringing in my head. I couldn't stand not seeing you one more time before we're dead. I wanna turn it on and turn you up again while we're still in our prime. I want the next 30 minutes to feel like a fucking crime. Might need your help to sing these songs. I've been losing blood and spinning wheels far too long. You clap in time, I'll make it rhyme, and we'll pretend we're in our prime. In our prime. Oh, wake with me, I'll ache with you. I wanna do it with you. Dance with me, we'll all be dead soon. I wanna do it with you. Yeah, I wanna do it with you. With you. I need a friend right now who reminds me of my home. Need a friend right now. I'm sick of staring at my phone. I need a friend right now. No, I could do it, but I don't wanna do it alone. I'm no good here on my own. Oh, ache with me and I'll ache with you. I wanna do it with you. Oh, dance with me, we'll all be dead soon. I wanna do it with you. Oh, ache with me and I'll ache with you. I wanna do it with you. Oh, with you. Yeah, I wanna do it with you. Do it with you. I wanna do it with you. Thank
Sorry,
you.
I should have warned you about that little pause beforehand. You know,
The pause?
Yeah, you know, between end of song and clapping. You know, that's a thing that we do here, just to keep the performers on their toes, make them think that we really
You
hated
might
it.
not have liked it. Yeah, that's
totally.
okay. In Cleveland the other night, I said to the crowd, I said, yo, it's really starting to get good here in Cleveland. I was starting to wonder. I would come through and the shows were just okay, and it's this big rock and roll town, and it's taken years here in Cleveland. And there was a pregnant pause, and a guy goes, we needed to figure out if you were good or not. And perhaps you guys are, using that same...
Yeah, people can't see, but we all have our arms folded. That's how we watch,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I looked over there.
Yeah, totally. So I want to ask you about this new record, "Bury Me in Philly."
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to it when it came out, and so your last record was called "Devour."
Yeah.
Came out a few years ago, and that was a fairly dark record.
Yeah.
And I started listening to this record, and it seemed like it was sort of going the same way. Like "With You" has some lyrics in it that are kind of in that same vein. There's like talk about death and sort of a certain destiny. But as I was listening to it more, I actually kind of got the sense that there's a real romanticism in these songs. It's almost a brighter vibe than I've heard from you before. And I was wondering if that's something that I was just like inventing in my mind, or if that was something that's really there on the record.
No, the last record, I was sort of, it was written in the wake of a divorce and sort of like the adult crash, Yeah. And then a lot of the themes, I guess, that were coming up came to bear last November.
Yeah,
so
right.
Devour could have come out now, I suppose. I don't know, and been topical. But in between records, I toured and brought my brother on, and things went well on that record, and I met my now wife. And so there's a sunshininess to the record that's in there, and then it comes out, a couple months into the nightmare that we're in as a society or whatever. So perhaps they're a little flipped. I don't know, but I guess you got to write wherever you're at, and you can't time. Things like that. I mean, nobody bargained for that, but I think that. There's a lot of like falling in love and moving west and sort of doubling down on the idea that you can have love in your life and survive even as you get deeper into your 30s.
Yeah, right. I know. So you moved since the last record. You left the East Coast. You went out to California.
I did.
Were these songs sort of written before or after that move? Like, did that have some kind of an impact on the songs that were coming out of you? Yeah,
that's sort of why we went, even with the production that we did on the record. We got Eric Bazillion from the Hooters and William Whitman, who is Cyndi Lauper's band leader, and he's produced records for her and all kinds of stuff. But I wanted it to sound sunnier, and still be based in the East Coast.
Yeah.
And so for me, that was kind of hearkening back to that mid-'80s period of music that I fell in love with as a kid, Bryan Adams and the Hooters and all that, and Cyndi Lauper, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that sort of allowed me to play in a sunnier vibe and still be like a rock artist or whatever you want to call it. But it felt comfortable to produce the songs in that way, because there is like a silver lining to them, and there is kind of a hope, and so it kind of fit what we were doing lyrically to produce it that way.
Yeah, cool. I'm glad that you mentioned Bryan Adams, because I was listening to your song "The Flinch," and I was thinking like I kind of get a Bryan Adams vibe a little bit, but I was not going to bring it up because I don't know how people will react to any kind of Bryan Adams reference.
You're maybe the sixth or eighth person who works at a media outlet that, we've done a similar kind of thing that said that, I didn't want to say Bryan Adams. And to me, it's like, I don't really have guilty pleasures, I just think like whatever.
Just pleasures?
Just pleasure.
Yeah, right.
But like Reckless that's pound for pound. It might even be the best Bruce Springsteen record that was ever made. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
It's a perfect record for that thing. And, he went on to make the Robin Hood thing. And
that's right.
I guess that's why people have a weird association. But
I don't really know, actually. It's a good question. Like
he's
in
amazing.
the 80s, he was like unassailable. I mean, those were some of the great rock pop songs of that era.
Yeah.
It might have been the Robin Hood thing. It's possible, yeah.
But you can't blame a squirrel for trying to get a nut, I mean, he had a song and he had it placed in Robin Hood, and now he probably doesn't have as many worries as many other songwriters. I don't know. I love Bryan Adams, and so it's not, like I said, I mean, guilty pleasures are just sort of...
Yeah, they're just pleasures.
Well, you just end up associating yourself in one way, and then you're like, but I also like this Katy Perry song. It's okay to just like the Katy Perry song, or whatever, whatever thing that you think is not cool. But yeah, Bryan Adams certainly is in the DNA of all the stuff that I do, just as much as Petty or Springsteen or Patty Griffin or any of those, artists that I go to for inspiration.
Yeah,
so.
Cool. So you're gonna do a couple more for us from Bury Me in Philly. Tell me a little bit about this next one.
This is the title track, and it was the first song I wrote for the record. And the first one we sort of workshopped a little bit live, I guess, and it sets the mood, I suppose, lyrically. We put it last just as a final punctuation on the record, I suppose. But it could also open the record. It's sort of the whole shooting match.
Did you know that it was going to be the title of the record as you were doing it?
No, I was going to call the record The Mermaid, which had a lot more to do with trying to chase that elusive thing, and we ended up calling the band The Mermaid.
Right.
For that reason, it's sort of like a metaphor for anything you chase at your own peril.
Yeah. I'm having visions of Tom Hanks. Right
Right. But Bury Me in Philly, we sort of were in, I guess we were mixing, right, Tim? And Eric, again, from the Hooters, he's a Philly guy. He was like, you got to call this record Bury Me in Philly.
Yeah.
And I really couldn't argue. He was like, I think that's a little more, it's a little more on the nose, I suppose, but I wanted to be clear. He urged me to be clear.
It's like a mission statement almost.
Kind of, yeah. And then, there's always more records that you can name other,
Well, look out for The Mermaid in a couple of years.
Well, now that we named the band that, I think we've probably shook that.
Oh, yeah,
tree.
we're going to have to call it like Bigfoot or
next record,
Carmen
Bigfoot.
San Diego.
Where's Waldo?
Yeah, totally.
Dave
Just Waldo.
Hause's
Finding Waldo.
Fourth release.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this song's called Bury Me in Philly. Can I move to California and keep my head held high? These bipolar East Coast forecasts, they leave me fried, and I got lonesome there since the day she died. Never been too good saying long goodbyes. Write me one good song and dry my sister's eyes, and bury me in Philly when I die. Bury me, bury me. If I delete all my profiles, can I still make you come? A digital golden capsule at first, it seemed like fun, but it gets lonesome there, and I could use some sun. All the clicks and likes, they feel like hit and runs. I'm turning off my phone, I'm turning in my gun. You could bury me in Philly when I'm done. Bury me, bury me. You can give my 65 to Tim and dry my sister's eyes, and bury me in Philly when I die. Let the ground beneath my feet, let it fail if it wants to now. You got dancing shoes, I got blues, I gotta lose, and I want her to show me how. I'm ready for it now. I could show you that I love you if you let me in. I don't need a savior if I don't believe in sin, but it gets lonesome here. I'm out on a limb, I'm singing ragged songs and howling broken hymns. So come on, Golden State, won't you let me in? They can bury me in Philly in the end, in the end, in the end. Bury me, bury me. You can give my 65 to Tim and dry my sister's eyes. Bury me in Philly when I die. Give my 65 to Tim and dry my sister's eyes. Bury me in Philly when I die. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, man. So, you know, apart from like the lyrical content and like the stories that you want to tell, the ideas you want to convey, you know, I'm always curious with songwriters who have been doing it, you know, a while. I mean, you've been writing songs in various bands and solo iterations for, you know, going back to the 90s. Yeah, even before.
Yeah, my high school band started. My first band was 96.
96.
And yeah, that was a high school band. And then I had a band called The Curse that was, you know, hardcore punk. It was kind of like we were trying to be Kid Dynamite at the time.
Right.
And even then, like, lyrics were real important to me, and you know. But yeah, so it's been a while.
It's been a while. And so on the other side of that, you know, I'm always curious with musicians who have been writing as many songs as you have. On the musical side, you know, how do you sort of keep it fresh for yourself when you're writing in a rock genre? You know, are you sort of looking for like a magical new chord progression that you've never sort of thought of before? Or is it the idea of like, you know, there are 4 chords ordered in such a way that you can just write endless songs that you know are good and you're proud of and you want to keep playing year after year after year, you know, as a songwriter?
Yes.
Yeah. The latter?
No, it's both, really. Because, I mean, there could be a magical chord progression. I mean, most likely the Beatles have already done it.
Yeah,
so
right.
it would be more discovering that when you're playing along to one of the George Harrison songs or something that, you know, you can find those and then that might unlock something. But then, you know, we just recently lost Tom Petty, and he's, you know, a pillar for me. And so every night since he passed, the band has been covering a Tom Petty song.
Oh, nice.
Whether it's we either play Won't Back Down or Learning to Fly.
Yeah.
And that's a reminder that simple, you know, that maybe not even 4 chords, it could be 3.
Yeah.
And if they're played, you know, if everything's sort of mapped out exactly how Tom Petty does it, it's perfect. So I think it's kind of both, at least for me. I mean, I think when it comes to songwriting, Eric Bazillion gave Tim the advice when we were wrapping up the record. Tim was like, "Well, do you have any advice for a young kid who's trying to write songs?" And he said, "Approach it always like a novice." And I think that maybe that's good advice for everybody.
Meaning, like, don't overthink.
Well, don't think you're a pro at it, like you actually know what you're doing.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
you can lean on craft, and the more you study songs and read American Songwriter or whatever, you can see that there are things that do work and places you can go that are safe havens, you know, things that work. Rhyming, for instance, is one you want to try for. But then again, you know, I think sometimes the accidents are where there's magic too. You know, it's a hard thing to I mean, you're chasing a mystery or whatever, you know. It's like Neil Young always says, always keep your fishing line in the river, or else somebody downstream will get the fish. And that's kind of like songs, you know? You could have an idea that you don't all the way flesh out, and then a friend of yours could write a song a year later and have some of that content in there.
Right.
So it's this weird, for me, it's like the closest thing to magic that I know of that humans are capable of, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really cool answer. It's sort of like, if I don't write this song, someone else is gonna, and I'm not gonna like it.
Yeah, or I'll really like it and be jealous.
Well, that's what I mean. I'm not gonna like that it's a great song that I didn't write.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So, is this how you write? Do you sit down with an acoustic, and is this normally how these songs begin for you in this format?
Well, sort of. A lot of times it's just walking around, and then a melody will come in or a line will come in. That's sort of the way it starts, especially like this year we've done we'll have done 140 shows as a band. And so a lot of that, you're in a foreign place on a lack of sleep. And so right there is a lot of times like where your subconscious can click in and you'll get melodies or ideas for a line or whatever. And then I just try to file those and then sift through the mess when I get home and can actually like approach it with clarity. And then at that point, like for the last record, I brought Tim into the process, my brother, and we would on FaceTime across the country when he was done serving Chinese food for the day. He'd call me on the iPad or whatever, and we'd trade ideas and trade lines, and that we can beat that line. And so that was sort of the honing and the craft of it. But there's no real magic way. I mean, the magic is actually magic. It's like, whoa, that just happened on the subway, or that happened at waiting in line for sushi. I don't know, and but a lot of the work is done at the same place. You know, just sitting with a guitar or a piano and banging it out until it starts to take shape.
Yeah.
So it's I wish there was a formula that was more reliable.
Well, if there were, more people would be doing it, and it wouldn't sound as good.
Well, thanks.
So we're going to do one more from Bury Me in Philly. Tell me a little bit about this last song.
Well, I'm going to, I know this is live, but I need to tune.
That's all right.
So
we have provided a special state-of-the-art super technological tuner for Dave here.
Yeah, made by iTelephone.
That's right.
But yeah, go ahead. I'm not staring at my phone. I'm listening to you and doing this.
Yeah, he says that he's tuning his guitar, but really he's like checking Eagles fantasy draft or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Congrats on Carson Wentz. I don't know if that means anything to you.
It means it's meaning more and more every week. That's for sure.
Well, I know it. You can give me your condolences on Eli Manning, and we'll.
I give you my
condolences.
Later. It's funny. We were in Dallas playing a show the other night, the night before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And it's Dallas. And so Tim puts on his Eagles hat and his Eagles shirt, and the band's like, whoa, dude, you're like going for it. You're really going to poke the bear. So he said, well, maybe I'll just go for a different shirt, but I'm going to keep my hat on. He's like, because fuck Dallas. I was like, we're playing in Dallas. We're doing music here, man.
We're playing for the people of Dallas.
Yeah. And they just got beaten badly by the Eagles. Like,
they did.
So we get up on stage, and Tim's like, all right, cool, play it cool. And a guy goes, I know we're Dallas, but we love you, and gives him a Randall Cunningham jersey. Throwback jersey. And he looks down, and I was like, now see?
Yeah, the power of music, man.
The power of music.
It'll overcome everything else.
Yeah, so we have to resist the temptation to poke at the Giants and Dallas when we play.
Yeah, I don't know what would happen if someone showed up at a Philly punk show in like a Dallas Cowboys jersey. There would be hell to pay.
Certain death.
Yeah, certain death.
Yeah, well, that's what I kind of was trying to explain. I was like, people only respond this way in Philadelphia. Like, the Dallas people will just be bummed. Yeah. They'll just be like, oh. Yeah. Whereas in Philly, it would be
mass chaos.
Yeah, that provocation would be trouble.
Yeah, right.
But, yeah.
Well, circling it back around, now that you have checked, the scores and stuff on your phone.
Yeah. We're still looking good.
Tell me a little bit about this this last song from Bury Me in Philly.
This song's called Divine Lorraine, and this was part of that collaboration between me and Tim on the record. I had this little ditty. It was a lot faster it was sort of like a punky little number, and we slowed it down, and I had a bunch of the lyrics, but didn't have that sort of Divine Lorraine is an old hotel in Philly, and it's decrepit and needs work, but it's sort of like a symbol of an old time past or whatever.
Yeah.
And so we kind of put it in as a metaphor for like working class life, I suppose. And that was one of those magic things on FaceTime. We were like on the screen, like, what about this? What about that? And we bounced it back and forth. And a song that had been just hanging around like an old, just a pain in the ass song. Like, what am I gonna do with that? I think it's pretty good, but I can't finish it. We finished it in about an hour's time.
Wow.
And then it served us pretty well. Like, people seem to connect to this one especially. So who knows? You gotta do the work sometimes.
Cool.
Let's do it. All my friends got dirt beneath their fingers. The neighbor kids, they always shoot away. We're on that team that always lose. Weak paychecks and weekend blues. Bills that come, they will forget to pay. And you get ground so down, you'll forget the sound. The sound she makes when she calls out your name. So slow down, hear that low sound, and learn to love the clatter of the chains. Stay true to me, Divine Lorraine. We're the ones whose work you put your name on. We're the ones who said those lyrics that you stole. You do the crime, we do the time. You dirty fuckers, stealing shine. Pretty soon we'll be out on parole. But the middle of the road takes a toll. And you get ground so down, you'll forget the sound. The sound she makes when she calls out your name. So slow down, hear that low sound, and learn to love the clatter of the chains. Stay true to me, Divine Lorraine. Hey. The sound she makes when she calls out your name. So slow down, hear that low sound, and learn to love the clatter of the chains. Stay true to me, Divine Lorraine. All my friends got dirt beneath their fingers. We scratch our little grooves against the grain. My mama said you can be anything. We made up songs that we could sing, and we washed the dirt off dancing in the rain. And we learned to love the clatter of the chains. Stay true to me, Divine Lorraine. Stay true to me, Divine Lorraine.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and thanks everybody for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you for playing, man. The record is really great. It's called Bury Me in Philly. It's the new-ish solo record.
Yeah, February.
So, it's the most recent solo record from Dave Hause. But you are playing tonight in the city here in New York at the Gramercy.
Yeah.
You're on tour with Beach Slang right now, I believe?
Yeah, Beach Slang and the Homeless Gospel Choir, and kicks off at 8 o'clock. We're on at 8:45.
Yeah, that is tonight night here in Manhattan, and there are more dates on davehause.com. People
Yep.
can find him there. So figure out when he's going to be in your town, and then go. And pick up the new record, "Bury Me in Philly." It's a great album. It's a loud. This is the acoustic stripped down version. I
Yeah.
should probably mention this is a loud rock. Great.
Yeah.
It's a rock record.
It's loud.
It's loud. Yeah, especially if you play it loud.
Yes.
It's loud. It's a loud
It
record.
can be loud.
It can
yeah.
be loud, and I encourage you to play it loud. So yeah, Dave, thanks so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
To Pace today, and please come back and play for us again anytime. All right.
Yeah, we will. That'd be great.
All right. Cool.
Thanks.